under a sky split by thunder, rain pounding the earth so hard it hurt to breathe, you'd never guess the night was about to change so many lives. You want a story that hooks you? Try this. Imagine a luxury car pulling off the road at the edge of a half-wild forest, mud sucking at the tires, engine still ticking after the key is cut. Door opens. Out steps a man tall, elegant, cold as stone. He dragged a little girl out with him, barely 5, shivering so hard she can't stand, burning with fever. Her eyes, when they manage to open, are an impossible green, too much like her mother's. He doesn't even flinch, just hauls her across the ditch and into the trees, barely pausing before dumping her, limp and helpless, into the muck. Doesn't look back. Not once. That's how it started for Sophia. Maybe you think the world would forget her there, lost, abandoned, rain beating down. But no, in the strange mercy of fate, someone or something was watching. Or, you could say, something not quite someone. A white horse, mane streaming in the storm, head held high despite the wind, watched the entire ugly scene from the shadows. And when the man vanished back to his car, slamming the door, peeling away, the horse crept closer, nostrils flaring, hooves steady. That's where the miracle began, yet it's the twist you never see coming. You ever have a night that rewrote your whole life? For Sophia, this was it. She'd never been able to hear a thing since she was born. The world for her was all touch and sight. She felt the vibration of the car leaving, the sudden void where her father's presence had been. Her little legs gave way, mud cold and slick against her skin, fever twisting her mind, making the world tilt. And in the blurry mess, she saw the shape of the white horse move closer, warm breath mixing with the cold rain. The animal, impossibly gentle, gripped the edge of her dress in his teeth and began dragging her, slow and careful, through the woods, hooves somehow finding solid ground. Less than a mile away, a lantern burned in the barn of a small farm. Helena, 20 years old, up before dawn since she lost her own mom as a kid, had left the light on for the animals, something her mother always taught her. She was the farmer's daughter, tough as leather boots, but always soft around the edges for anything wounded. That night, she woke to the horse's insistent nicker, a sound she'd known since she was small. She pulled on her boots, wrapped herself up, and stepped into the yard, the rain finally letting up to a soft hiss. There in the barn, she froze. Luce the white horse was lying on his side, sides heaving, muddy as a plowed field. But it wasn't him that made her heart stop. It was the small figure curled against his belly, trembling with fever. "Dad!" she shouted, voice slicing through the wet silence. Minutes later, Thomas, her father, burst in, eyes wide, shirt half-buttoned. "My God," he breathed. He knew immediately something terrible had happened. Luce, normally wild with strangers, simply looked up, giving permission. Helena's fingers on the little girl's forehead found her burning, near delirious. They carried her into the house, stripped the wet dress, wrapped her in old blankets, brewed the herbal tea Helena's mother once swore could cure anything. Sophia lay silent, only her eyes moving, and Helena realized this child couldn't hear a word they said. You know those moments when everything slows down, every breath heavy, every look meaningful? That was their living room, before sunrise, thunder rumbling far away. Luce stared through the window, as if watching over his rescue. Helena noticed the girl's eyes so bright, so aware, even in her weakness. She tried signing, simple gestures, and Sophia's eyes followed, understanding more than Helena thought possible. That was when Helena realized communication could mean more than words. It could be safety, trust, survival. Dawn broke. The rain faded. The fever lessened. Sophia's eyes, impossibly green, flicked around the room, puzzles everywhere. "She can't hear," Helena whispered to her father, and Thomas's face hardened, the kind of determination that builds families out of scraps. They pieced it together little by little. A silver locket fell from the ruined pink dress. Inside, a photo of a woman, Emily, grace smiling beside an older lady. Helena asked gently, "Is this your mom?" Sophia drew instead. On the back of an envelope a portrait of the women, and a shadowy man in a suit. She pointed to her chest, pointed to the older woman. The story unspooled. Her mother gone, her grandmother recently lost, a letter sent to a father who would rather destroy his reputation than raise a daughter who couldn't hear. They needed help. Helena remembered Miss Beatrice, a retired teacher who'd spent years with special needs kids and who, thank God, knew sign language. The woman came as fast as her old blue Beetle could make it down the muddy road. She was kind, sharp as ever, and when she started signing to Sophia, the girl lit up. Beatrice translated everything, bit by bit. Sophia had been left with her father, Arthur Miller, after her grandmother died. The man had never acknowledged her, never wanted a child, let alone a deaf one. The proof was in a locket in a letter her grandmother had sent. You ever see Justice stumble into the room and slap everyone awake? That's what happened when Arthur Miller, suit impeccable, lawyer and social worker in tow, showed up to retrieve his daughter. The confrontation was ugly and beautiful at once. Beatrice laying out the facts, the social worker recording every word, Sophia stepping into the doorway to sign her truth. You read Grandma's letter. You said I was a mistake. You left me in the woods, but Luce saved me. Now I have a family. That moment right there, it was cinematic, electric. The lawyer blanched, the social worker called the authorities, and Arthur Miller looked, for the first time, like a man stripped bare. The storm of consequences had begun. In the weeks that followed, the Patersonen farm changed. The spare bedroom became Sophia's world, walls covered with her drawings, her silent language brought to life. Helena learned to sign, Thomas too, their hands awkward at first, then sure. Luce, the white horse, never left Sophia's side. It was like he knew, like some ancient magic tied them together. Then came the counterattack. Arthur Miller hiring high-powered attorneys, contesting the custody. Helena and Thomas, with Beatrice's help, rallied witnesses, documented every detail. The deaf community responded with fury and love, sending support, offering testimony. Even Martha from the general store showed up with old photos of Emily, reminders of roots and memory. And just when you thought you'd seen every twist, Arthur's own mother, Elenina Miller, arrived. Gray-haired, elegant, devastated by her son's cruelty, she brought evidence, photos, bank records, the last piece needed. She testified against her own child, declaring that Sophia deserved the kind of love and home that could never come from someone who saw her as an inconvenience. Final showdown. Arthur, stripped of every excuse, was offered a choice: continue the battle and lose everything, or do the right thing at last. Thunder rumbling, rain falling just as it had that night in the woods. Sophia stood small, brave, beside her guardian horse and signed, "I forgive you, Dad, but I don't want to go with you." He signed the papers. Parental rights relinquished, child support agreed, and the foundation for Sophia's future secured. Elenina, now moving into the house next door, became the grandmother Sophia never had. The farm became more than a homite, became hope. Luce Farm opened its doors to other deaf children, turning Sophia's story into a legacy. Helena taught, Sophia led, Beatrice cheered them on. Even Arthur, in time, sent anonymous donations, trying to mend in secret what he had broken in public. At Sophia's 6th birthday, the worlds of silence and sound met: children signing, horses neighing, family chosen, and blood both coming together in a celebration that didn't need words. So what's right and wrong? What's justice, really? Maybe it's a stubborn girl who refuses to be broken, a family built out of love, a horse that answers a silent call, and a community that rises to protect its own. You tell me, was Arthur Miller a villain, or just a man trapped by his own pride? Was Sophia a victim, or the quiet hero who changed them all? Drop your thoughts below. What would you have done? And where does true family begin? Sometimes the loudest music in the world is the kind that can only be felt. And sometimes the greatest rescue starts in the darkest storm if you're brave enough to follow the sound of hooves through the night.